Hi friends from around the world. Today is Geographical Indications La Mancha Manchego Cheese. Cheese from Spain. Let me just recall a little bit. If you don't know anything about geographical indications, please go to the free educational videos where I explain a series of videos on geographical indications. Everything is in there. Just for reminders, geographical indication is the general term englobing all other, different level of protection. We have the PDOs and the PGIs mainly, or the appellation d'origine. That's what we have. So the different level of protection is depending on how is it elaborated, etc. So this is not important for us today. We want just to know that this is a geographical indication, and geographical indications as such is being protected in Europe and somewhere else as well. We'll come to that through through a regulation, which is here on the screen in its Article 13, where, among others, evocation, if there is an evocation from somebody who has not the right to use that geographical indication, then it can be barred, it can be sued for infringement. So far, so good. Now, what is it about Manchego cheese? Well, Manchego cheese is from La Mancha. La Mancha is a big region a bit south from Madrid in Spain. It is very flat, I would say. The cheese is from sheep. It must be elaborated a certain manner. It may be from raw milk or pasteurized milk. And, it has this cylindric form normally. So on the elaboration, there are some requirements which naturally the associated companies or individuals, they must comply with in order to use the sign Queso Manchego. So here you have some examples of Queso Manchego on the screen. Now, what is it about the protection? It is protected in Spain, Queso Manchego, as a GI. It is protected since 1984 in Spain. It is protected in Europe since 1996 in the EU. And it is protected internationally through a variety of international free trade agreements or economic partnership agreements, as we call them now. So these are agreements between the European Union, which has the trade competency transferred to it from the member states, and other countries or other regions of countries or groups of countries, whatever it is. I was a member of the European Union delegation for the protection in China. So this is the protection. So you may have this in Mexico. In Mexico, probably it is protected, and the Mexican trademarks in Mexico, they cannot use something which would evoke, so to say, the Queso Manchego. Now, the evocation is normally about the Manchego style or the feta type. Feta is a Greek cheese, famous cheese, or the style type or the method or whatever. So this is a normal evocation which is seen in Article 13 of that regulation. Now, the management of that GI association is, though, the Consejo Regulador Denominación de Origen Manchego. So it is a group of associations, and they are led by this council, so to say. which is in charge to see that everything is according to the methods with what the association had agreed upon, and to see whether there are infringers out there who do not comply with the regulation but still want to take profit of the GI. Right? So this is about some background, but you need to know something more in order to get to grasp the case, and I will give you a bit an overview of what is the La Mancha. What is it about? You may have heard from Don Quijote de la Mancha. This is a novel from Miguel de Cervantes some 400 years ago already, but very well known. Very well known. It is in pictures, it is in movies, it is in novels from around the world. It has been translated in I don't know how many languages, but everybody knows it in Europe. It is it is probably the most famous Spanish novel which is known around the world. So, and there are some characters, main characters. The main character is, you will see here on the screen, Don Quijote de la Mancha, which is a knight, who is a knight from that region, from that flat land. And the novel is about his adventures. It's all around built his adventures. And he had a kind of servant with him, which is Sancho Panza. Don Quixote, the knight himself, rode on a horse, which is called Rocinante, and which has also some characteristics within so it's a bit a comedy book, right? It's also some characteristics. So this is the one part of the characteristics of La Mancha, and why is it so well known. The second would be the region with the region with the windmills and the sheep and the whatever it is, the grassland and so, and the Don Quixote there he has one of the most famous adventures he has passed through was precisely with the windmills, and here you have a picture on the screen where he is in front of the windmills, and he is a kind of a bit insane, I would say. Well, they say insane. Others, there are other interpretations also possible. But he saw in that book, he saw, instead of the windmills, he saw giants. And he wanted to make big adventures and be a hero of something. And he saw the giants, and he fought the giants with the windmills. And, he lost bitterly and miserably against the windmills, although he thought these were giants. Now, these are characteristics of the novel, but the novel is being linked to the La Mancha. And if you recall the first image I showed you with the cheese from La Mancha and the council of the PDO from La Mancha, they have all the picture of Don Quixote incorporated, and the sheep, and sometimes also the windmills. Okay, so far so good. Now let's come to the case. We have a producer from La Mancha of cheese made from milk, but which has not been done according to the processes agreed upon on the PDO Manchego cheese. But he's from that region, La Mancha. And he makes these cylindrical sheep cheese, and he uses as a label some kind of this evocative part of the novel of Don Quixote here on the screen. So you see the windmills, you see the sheep, you see the horse. The horse has its own name. It's called Rocinante. That is the horse of the knight, Don Quixote. And well, this is all present here. And the case is now with regard to the counsel against this producer from La Mancha. It was sued in the courts of Spain and for infringement of the PDO, Queso Manchego, and it was rejected in the first instance, rejected in the second instance, and it went up to the Supreme Court, where there had some considerations, some doubts, and wanted to know more about that evocation. So what is necessary in order to get to evoke the PDO, so the geographical indication? Is it possible, first question, to evoke through a figurative sign and not any phonetic or visual evocation? So the visual evocation with regard to the Manchego cheese. So if there is a word element, Manchego cheese, so is that being compared word by word, or is it phonetically, is it heard, or is it figurative conceptual? That is, this from trademark. So far, some words on phonetic, I will come to that, and on the visual, that has already been ruled, but nothing has been ruled so far on a figurative sign which has no word element referring to Manchego cheese. And the Court of Justice, they said yes, that is possible. It is not all the circumstances have to be taken into account, and it is not. It is so well-known character, that part of the novel of Don Quixote from Miguel de Cervantes, that the person is the main character. Don Quixote is so well-known, and the surrounding and the windmills, etc. So it can be evoked through a figurative sign with regard to cheese and with that cylindrical form, etc. So that is a possibility, and it is up to the Supreme Court afterwards to apply these possibilities. But the regulation does not prevent a association of a figurative sign with regard to a PDO or GI. That was the first question. The second question is whether the consumers have to be taken into account, the consumers from the whole European Union, or if only the consumers from the member state concerned, so in this case Spain, have to be taken into account. And well, it could not be different. The Court of Justice said it must be the consumers from the whole European Union who would be necessary to judge upon, and well, it cannot be different. Now, what the third question was, if the producer, the infringing producer, is from that region and he evokes that region, is that so to say a possibility for him not to be an infringer, because in fact he was only saying what he produces. He produces something from that region, which is well known through the novel of Cervantes. But the Court of Justice in that case, again, it ruled in favor of the GI, of the protection, of the scope of protection of the GI, they said, well, the evocation can be through this and through that, and the fact that that guy is from the region is not the significant factor. The significant factor is that he evokes the GI and is not being associated to the GI. So this is an interesting case, I think, from people from around the world who have GIs and who have GIs on their own market, and they may come across problems with regard to GIs from Europe. Europe is the heavyweight of GIs, and Italy and France, Spain as well. Greece are those which are very much in favor of these GIs. Now, there are some previous judgments which you may also find interesting to look at if you are in the GI area, if you have some clients with GI connections. There is the Cambozzola Gorgonzola case here on the screen, which is the similarity, the visual similarity between the signs, visual and phonetic, the phonetic similarity. Cambozzola, Gorgonzola, right, is for cheese, naturally. And a second is also in the Parmesan and Parmigiano Reggiano, again, cheese. Much about cheese. So Parmesan would be the German name for the same original Italian name with this Parmigiano Reggiano. And then we have a conceptual comparison where it has been also judged by the Court of Justice that this is an infringement, and this is Scotch whisky, which is also a GI, naturally, just one of the biggest GIs in Europe. Scotch whisky with regard to Glen. And why Glen? Glen is Scottish for water, and many trademarks of Scotch whisky, they have whiskey is made from water, right? And one of the ingredients is water. The main ingredient is water, and water from Scotland is a good one. So the water is incorporated in many names in Scottish whisky, trademarks on from a Scottish whisky, right? So it has been judged as well here on the screen. So this about GI. Well, how is the situation in your country?